Hello everyone, welcome back to Danganronpa, where we are trying to find out more about the identity of Mikuro. Oops, that's a save.
Ultimate Soldier.
Ultimate Soldier. Is it? I thought Cloud was Ultimate Soldier.
Yeah, that too.
Had to be done.
It must have been the Hope's Peak Academy headmaster after all.
No, the headmaster has nothing to do with it.
But how can we trust that? We already know your information about Mukuro was wrong.
My information was not wrong.
Okay. We're in the middle of a trial right now. Figuring out who killed Mukuro is first and foremost. Please limit all future prattle, chatter, and chit-chat as much as possible.
Oh, sure. He chimes in now, but not when Hiro is being an idiot about it.
Right,
Kyoko's
being a
ghost.
Fine. Uncovering the identity of the mastermind will have to wait. But remember this. No matter what happens, we will find out who you really are. I stake my family name on it.
I have officially decided to completely ignore all such attempts at provocation. Now then, just so nobody's confused, let me state this one more time for the record. The reason we're having a class trial is because a murder among the students has taken place. Hammer that point straight into your big ol' brains!
What you're saying is that both the victim and the culprit are part of the student body?
Then, one of us killed Mukuro?
Wait, no! There's a chance that there's some mystery 17th person who's been
Oh,
hiding
God.
all along!
Nope. There are only 16 students in total that have been taking part in these events.
Seriously? Then, one of us killed Mukuro?
Who did it? Who's the killer this time?
Get a hold of yourself. We've already narrowed down the list of possible suspects.
Huh?
I'm sure you realize who I'm talking about, right, Makoto? Who the evidence points to?
Based on what we know, there can only be two suspects. Me and Kyoko.
I got it! You've narrowed it down to Kyoko and me, right?
Why do you say that?
Allow me to explain. Just after nighttime last night, I went to the garden, so I can confirm that at that point, there was no dead body there. So, the murder must have taken place after I left the garden. However, Hiro, Toko, Hina, and I were in the gym the entire time.
The gym?
That's right. The four of us were there trying to dismantle Monokuma. The whole time, we were very careful not to go anywhere alone. We even went to the bathroom in pairs. All of which is to say, the four of us all have alibis. The only ones without alibis
Are me and Makoto. That's why you're able to narrow down the list of suspects.
exactly so.
So the only suspects now are me and Kyoko. Damn it, I can't let this stand. Somehow I have to clear my name.
I have something I'd like to say regarding the whole alibi thing.
Are you thinking of raising an objection?
Well, before that, I just want to try and get a better idea of what time the murder took place. Doing that might reveal some kind of clue.
Whatever you want. Somebody go ahead and help him out.
Me and Byakuya can both confirm that the body wasn't in the garden at, well, it was after nighttime for sure. I'd say it must have been around 10 o'clock. So the murder must have happened after 10 p.m.
Then I guess we can say the time frame for the murder was between then and when we found the body? Oh, but
No, that's wrong.
what time did we find the body?
The one who saw the body first was Toko, right? And she went to go get the pickaxe.
So you know how he said they walked in pairs?
Yeah.
They could have. Oh, sorry, you're being timed on this.
No. The body was discovered at 9.
Yeah.
I got it! The body must have been discovered at 9 a.m., since that's when Toko went to get the pickaxe.
Yeah, this is where they confirm that's 9 o'clock. We can narrow it down more.
It had to be around then.
So we can be totally sure the murder happened sometime between 10 at night and 9 in the morning.
For me, I was already asleep before nighttime hit, so I don't have an alibi after 10 o'clock. But I'm sure I met up with everyone else before 9 this morning.
We ran into each other in the dining hall, right? That was around... Oh yeah! Right around 7:30. I remember checking right before I went in.
Which means from 10 p.m. to 7:30 a.m., you don't have an alibi.
The murder happened between 10 p.m. and 9 a.m. I don't have an alibi from 10 p.m. till 7:30 a.m. Okay then, it looks like the game has begun. If I can't provide an alibi for that period, then I just have to prove the murder didn't happen during the time I don't have an alibi. To do that, I have to make it clear when the body ended up in the garden.
This is where we talk about the sprinklers.
Yeah. Sprinklers.
We've established a time frame for the murder. It took place somewhere between 10 o'clock at night and 9 o'clock in the morning.
2 o'clock.
Yep.
Oh.
And Makoto doesn't have an alibi for most of that time.
Yeah, from 10 o'clock to 7:30.
Right there.
I think that's it.
More than enough time to commit murder, I should think. So
I didn't know you
Makoto,
click
if
on
you
those.
have
I
any
didn't either.
objections, now would be the
Oops.
time.
You're not supposed to click on the white
I
one.
guess not. There's something that happens in the garden at the same time every morning. Thinking back, the corpse is almost totally dry. Should be able to figure out when the body must... Okay.
We've established a time.
Oops.
It took place somewhere between 10 and 9
I didn't
o'clock
mean to do
in
that.
the morning.
Yep. And Makoto doesn't have an alibi.
Yeah, from 10 o'clock to 7:30.
Right there.
What?
Shoot!
No? That wasn't it? Did you not use sprinklers?
I use
Established a
sprinklers.
time frame for the murder.
Is it...
Do we have to grab
It took
something?
place somewhere between 10 o'clock.
Oh.
No, that's wrong. Actually, the murder couldn't have happened anywhere near 10 o'clock. It had to have taken place way later.
And what makes you say that?
Because of the sprinklers in the garden. The sprinklers are set to go off right at 7:30 every morning, right? So if the body had been in the garden before 7:30, then it should have been completely soaked.
Oh, hold on. I remember this part perfectly. The body was wet. Dripping wet, in fact.
Sorry, Toko, but you're wrong.
I'm wrong? How? Are you saying only the mouth down south was wet? How dare you spew such indecent words?
No,
That's
I'm
really
saying
crude.
that the body was wet, but not because of the sprinklers.
What do you mean? By denying the sprinkler, are you trying to deny my entire existence?
Yes, I am. At this point.
You're totally wacko.
Alright, can we just hit Hiro and Toko over the back of the head and let the adults do the
I
talking?
know.
You really think it wasn't the sprinkler? You better tell us why!
Because we put the fire out.
I need to prove that it wasn't the sprinklers that got the body wet. All I have to do is hit Toko with certain evidence and that should do it. If we look at the body itself, it should make it clear.
We're gonna do the
That the...
rhythm thing.
Yeah, we sure are.
I admit nothing. I hate you. No, no, no! I don't know anything! Hold on! Are you trying to blame me? I admit nothing. I hate you. No,
You hate
no,
everybody.
No. I don't know anything. Hold on! Are you trying to blame me?
I don't think we're trying to blame you.
I admit nothing. Are you trying to blame me? I admit nothing. I hate you. No, no, no!
Final strike.
How can you say it wasn't the...
This should prove it.
We're not gonna let you finish your sentence. It's fantastic.
Just remember what the body was like after the explosion, and you'll see why it wasn't the sprinklers. The top half of the body was wet, yes, but the bottom half was completely dry. If the sprinklers got the body wet, shouldn't the whole body have been wet?
So they only got the top wet? The bottom was completely dry? What a brutal maniac!
What?
I have no
so
idea.
sick of her.
I agree.
Yeah.
Let's just move on. The reason only the top half was wet was because
We had to put the fire out.
Yeah.
Everybody was there.
while the body was
To
still
be
on
fair, she
fire,
wasn't conscious.
I doused
that's
it with
right.
water, but only the part on fire, the top half.
Oh, then I guess the sprinklers really didn't do it.
You
So if
think?
the sprinklers didn't get the body wet, Then the murder must have taken place sometime after the sprinklers turned on at 7:30 in the morning.
Which means she must have been killed sometime between then and when the body was discovered at 9.
At which point we have an alibi.
Makoto's alibi was only missing from 10 o'clock last night to 7:30 this morning, right?
So there's no way Makoto could have done it. I guess you had an alibi after all. Good for you.
In which case, the only one left without an alibi is Kyoko.
Kyoko's the only one without an alibi, which would mean that Mukuro's killer is... No, I refuse to believe it. Kyoko murdered someone? That's...
I'd just like to say one thing. If you vote for me and I die here, the mystery of this school will stay hidden forever, which is why I can't let that happen.
Huh?
So are you saying you're not the culprit?
Of course I'm not. I have no reason to kill anyone. This is a trap the mastermind has laid for us.
A trap?
We're this far into the game and now you decide to blame me? Stop wasting time! Stop wasting energy! You really think your little trick is gonna work?
Shut up, you!
You got it, boss! Shutting up now!
Anyway, Kyoko, you actually did have a reason to kill her.
Huh? She did?
She thought Mukuro was the ultimate despair. In other words, the mastermind behind everything. So she killed her to try and put a stop to all this. Isn't that right, Kyoko? But you made one catastrophic mistake. Mukuro wasn't the mastermind at all. And as a result, we were forced into another trial. Something I'm sure you weren't at all expecting.
So, that was her motive?
If she had a motive and no alibi, well then...
I don't think it's a
I
good
think
motive.
It's pretty
No.
clear Kyoko's gotta be the culprit.
You guys are idiots.
I'm not the only one without an alibi. Makoto's explanation is still insufficient.
Whoa.
Huh?
The sprinklers didn't get the body wet, but that doesn't mean the murder happened when he said it did.
What are you...
Because you see, there is a way the body could have avoided getting wet.
Interesting.
tarp.
I'm listening.
All it would take is covering the body with a certain something to keep it from getting wet.
Certain something at the scene was used to cover the body. Could have... Yeah.
Why
That
did
doesn't
she-
make sense, though, because... the sprinklers come on at 7:30, meaning... the body would have had... So if the body was there before and they put the tarp over it to cover it, someone still would have had to have gone and taken the tarp.
Yeah.
I got it!
That makes no
You're
sense.
talking
Also-
about the tarp, aren't you?
Also, so if she's accusing Makoto of doing it, why would you have him explain it?
Right.
You catch on quick. You're right. All you'd have to do is cover the body with the tarp,
But you'd
and
have to...
that'd take care of the water. In fact, that's exactly what the killer did. The dirt pattern on the tarp can attest to that. Only one side of the tarp got dirty, because that's the side that got covered in water. The side that faced down over the body, meanwhile, kept perfectly clean. This proves that the killer used the tarp to keep the body from getting soaked.
But they would have had to have
But
recovered
why
the tarp
would they
afterwards.
go to all that effort just to keep the body from getting wet?
Most likely so they could cloud the issue of when the murder actually took place. In other words, to create an excuse exactly like the one Makoto just gave us.
Why would Kyoko say that? Why would she want to make me look like the killer? No, I can't think about that right now. That tarp. If it was used the way Kyoko said, the tarp must have touched the body, right? But the body... the blood.
Wait, something's not right.
And what might that be?
I can't worry about Kyoko's motivations. If I don't do something, everyone's going to think I'm the killer. I have to refute what Kyoko said. I think it would be body before the explosion.
By covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless, right?
It's because that side was protected from the water.
Okay, that's fine.
Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty.
There we go.
No, that's wrong.
Because that was my thinking too.
Actually, one side being clean is pretty strange if you think about it. Because the blood wasn't dry before the body got blown up, right? Byakuya said it himself. Not to touch it, or you might get some on you. If you put a tarp on a body in that state, it absolutely would have gotten blood on it.
Well, maybe the culprit washed it, so nobody would know they'd used it.
If they had, they would have washed both sides. Just washing the one side wouldn't hide anything.
Oh, yeah, true.
More than that, what if the very blood we saw on the body was meant as a kind of camouflage?
Huh? The blood was camouflage?
What if, after the killer used the tarp to avoid the sprinklers, they then covered the body in blood that didn't belong to the victim?
You mean someone else's blood? Where would they get something like that?
I know! They could have grabbed some of the blood packs from the nurse's office. That's what Hifumi did, right? When he pretended to be dead?
No, that's not what happened this time. The killer got the blood from right there in the garden.
They got the blood from right there in the garden, right?
chicken.
Which must mean, oh.
I got it! Could it have been chicken blood?
Chicken necks?
Chicken blood?
When I checked the chicken coop before the murder, there were 5 chickens. But after the murder, there were only 4.
So, you're saying someone killed a chicken and then covered the body with its blood? Man, that's messed up.
Killing a living thing just to do something like that is awful. They should have
So
at
has
least
the body
seen
already
it.
been dead?
What?
Is the body already been dead is my question.
I think the knife and the blood were, like, meant to mislead.
I wonder if the killer had to get the blood from the scene so they wouldn't be spotted walking around. Anyway,
That doesn't
there's
make
no
sense.
denying that a chicken went missing, which provides a basis for my theory.
Perhaps, but even so, there's one thing that still doesn't make sense. You said the culprit used the tarp to avoid the water and then covered the body in blood, right? But if that's the case, then the blood should have soaked into the ground around the body. But that's not what we saw. Only the victim's clothing had blood on it. The ground was completely clean.
I have to agree, that certainly is strange. Maybe they didn't apply the blood at the scene. Maybe they covered the coat in blood beforehand.
They covered it beforehand?
When you discovered the body, was it wearing the coat like you normally would?
I think so.
was
Nope, it's
backwards.
backwards.
No, the head was through the neck hole, but the arms weren't in the sleeves.
Then that settles it.
Sorry, I'm having a tough time keeping. What settles what?
Here's what happened. The murder took place before this, but the body didn't get wet because the killer covered it with the tarp. Then, later, at the same time the killer was gathering up the tarp, they pulled the coat over the body. The coat they'd already covered in blood. This series of cover-ups was meant to disguise the actual time the murder occurred.
No, it still doesn't make sense, because if they... Where...
I think
Like, where did the chicken go? Like, they would if they killed the chicken there would be chicken blood in other places. It wouldn't just be on that coat.
They wanted us to think the murder happened sometime after the sprinklers had gone off, at 7:30.
If that's actually what took place, it certainly becomes possible that the murder happened earlier.
But to pull all that off, wouldn't they have had to go back to the garden after the sprinklers turned off?
Yep.
Thank you.
That actually wouldn't have been all that difficult.
Huh?
They already had the coat ready, so they just had to grab the tarp and pull the coat over the body. They'd be done in no time.
Coco.
But still,
Hina, after you met up with Makoto in the dining hall, did you two stay together from that point on?
Oh no. I headed off to the gym, and Makoto didn't show up till later.
Then he had plenty of time to spare, wouldn't you say?
that's not...
We had it right there.
Don't bother saying it's not possible.
I must admit, Kyoko's reasoning is sound. Makoto's alibi is inadequate.
What? How is Kyoko above suspicion at this point?
I know.
And the suspicion falls back on me again. But why? Why is Kyoko trying to entrap me? I don't understand. Disguised dead body has been added to the truth bullet.
Well then, it looks like we're back to square one. Makoto's alibi is no good, so once again, our suspects are him and Kyoko.
For serious, man? Which one of them did it?
I don't think either one of them.
Why don't we let luck decide? Let's flip a coin. 50-50 odds.
Oh,
See? Pretty good idea, right?
no, not that. I just remembered something super serious.
Well, don't just stand there. Out with it.
You know that knife we found all black and burnt?
The one we found stuck in the body before it exploded, right? According to the Monokuma file, the knife went all the way through, from front to back.
But we know that's not the murder weapon.
So, what about it?
I'm pretty sure I'd seen that knife somewhere before. That's what I thought when I first saw it. I just remembered.
So they gave it...
It's the knife we gave to Makoto?
You don't seem surprised. You must have noticed earlier.
Yeah,
Then why did you hide that fact?
it's not that I hid it. It's just...
I couldn't be sure of what actually happened last
Why
night.
don't you just tell him what happened?
I thought maybe I really did kill her.
You didn't.
Suspicious. Very suspicious indeed. The knife we found stuck in the body came from Makoto. Now I'm totally convinced he did it. 12,000% convinced.
Considering everything up till now, I should be able to make it clear. I have to prove I didn't murder anyone. I'm not the killer.
Wasn't he just contradicting himself like 3 seconds ago?
Okay. Fragments near the dead body. The bomb. We had no access to it.
In the dead body.
It's the same one we gave to Makoto.
It really is, isn't it? I was afraid of that.
If he did have that knife before, then that seals it. Makoto did it.
You're annoying.
Just because I had the knife once, that automatically makes me the killer?
Well, getting stabbed is what killed her, right?
No.
Nope.
So
I
there's
think
no
that's gonna be it.
question. You took that knife of yours and killed her
Stab,
with
stab.
What a horrible man you are, Makoto.
Hey. We've already established that the coat was put on the body after the tarp was removed, which means that when the knife was thrust through the coat into the body, we were already
The
dead.
knife we found lodged in the dead body.
It's the same one we gave to Makoto.
I don't know if that's the
It
right.
really is, isn't
It's
it?
either the disguised dead body
I
or
was afraid of
fragments.
that.
If he
I don't think
did
it's the
have that knife
fragments.
before,
Do you think it's the
then
disguised dead body?
Yeah, let's try that.
Alright.
seals it. Makoto did it.
Just because I had the knife, that automatically...
Well, getting stabbed is what killed her.
There we go.
No, good call.
No, that's wrong. Wait, hold on. The stab wound isn't what killed Mukuro. That should be clear from the description of the cover-up we just heard.
Lies! We never talked about what killed her.
No, don't you remember? The killer covered the dead body with the tarp and then put the bloody coat on it, right? In other words, the victim never wore that blood-stained coat until after they were dead.
Okay, fine. So what?
So, when we discovered the body, the knife had been thrust through the coat along with the body. Meaning, if she wasn't stabbed until the coat was put on, and she was already dead at that point, obviously the stab wound isn't what killed her.
Maybe you stabbed her twice. Once to kill her and once to cover it up.
The victim was stabbed twice in the same spot? No, there's no way that's possible. The exact condition of the body was written down for everyone to see. I'm assuming that would be the Monokuma file.
Yep.
I got it!
I've got it.
I've got
The
it!
Monokuma file clearly states that there was only one stab wound.
Oh yeah, it sure did. I totally forgot about that.
Then the knife.
Was just another piece of camouflage set up by the true killer. They probably stabbed her to draw attention away from what actually killed her. Exploding the body afterward was probably
Choco
meant
fly.
to do the same thing. The explosion severely damaged the body, making it impossible to know what really killed her. It was all the killer's attempt to destroy all evidence of their crime.
So they wanted us to notice the stab wound and then detonated the body afterward. They meant for us to latch onto the knife as the cause of death, then destroy any evidence proving otherwise.
Which would mean that knife is actually very suspicious.
Oh, hey, I have a question. It kinda goes back to the beginning, but what's the deal with that explosion anyway? Why'd the body just blow up all of a sudden like that?
If you bothered to put that lump of gray matter between your ears to use, you'd know the answer.
Well, if you're so smart, just tell me.
I'll tell you. I bet some unknown quantum particle caused an atomic level spontaneous combustion.
Oh, hero.
I might be dumb, but even I'm not dumb enough to believe that.
Thanks,
Go ahead,
Nina.
Makoto. Tell her or we won't make any headway on this.
There's only one explanation I can think of for the explosion, the particles, or the... Where was it? Fragments. There we go.
I got it!
Got it.
I've
After
got
the
it!
explosion, we found a tiny fragment of something on the ground near the body, right? That
Right.
fragment reveals the cause of the explosion.
Huh? You know, I feel like I've seen something like it somewhere before.
And we'll just have to find out where in the next episode.
Monokuma's body.
You don't tell them that, you make them guess.
Oh, okay.
That's how this works. Anyway, that's going to do it for us. As always, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.